everybody. I need to buy some lunch. See, I don't really eat out in restaurants. Well, let me rephrase that. I don't eat in restaurants all the time. I know, shocking. Sometimes I just want a bowl of soup and a bit of bread. That does me. Dan Preston, any comments about my food intake will not be appreciated at this point. So I think this week, well, no, that's a lie. I don't know what's going to happen this week. I might be in restaurants. I might not, who knows? So today, just gonna keep it nice and light. Bit of soup, bit of bread, that'll do me. Right, couple of jobs this afternoon. One, go see my tailor. We'll go there in a minute. Two, get some new boots for work and sort of general purpose use. Can't walk very far in them. They'll do the job. Right. It's new boots sorted. What we're going to do now is drop by my tailor and pick up some clothes. And then I fancy a coffee and a bit of people watching. And I'll explain my rough plan for the rest of the week. How's that sound? Sounds good to me. Cafe. It's supposed to be raining here later on, but thunder and lightning. For right now, it's quite sunny, which is nice. So, here's the plan for the rest of the week. What's something else I meant to tell you? Oh, that's what it was. So I have an Instagram account for the channel. It's called Brian's Life in France, very imaginatively. I think there's a link in the description of the channel. And it's good to have because it means people can send me messages. Because you can't really send messages on Facebook, on YouTube, other than comments. So sometimes people send me messages on Instagram, and most of the time they're lovely. People send me jokes that I can annoy Nick with. People just send me little messages to say hello. One person contacted me recently and said, "Hello, Ryan. I'd like to build a Lego model of the chateau, but I need to know how big the door is." Now, I have no idea how big this man intends to build this Lego model. And if you are listening to this video, I will try and get in touch with Dan and see if we can truck a measuring tape across the door. but don't be going mental building a huge big Lego model. It's the thought is much appreciated, but don't feel you have to go and do something like that for us. We just like you watching them. But I did get one message. Actually, I have had a couple of messages like this over the last few months. I got a message this week from a person that said, "Why aren't you working at the chateau with Dan? He's there all on his own, and you should be there helping him and not gallivanting around the place drinking coffee." And I've got a couple of messages like this over the last few months, but I feel I need to clarify something. I don't choose when I work at the chateau. Well, I do choose when I work at the chateau, that's not quite fair. But normally what happens is Dan rings me and says, and Nick, and he says, "Can you guys come in next week for 2 weeks or next week for 3 weeks?" The general rule is it's supposed to be 2 weeks on and 2 weeks off. Never really works out like that, but that's generally the plan we go by. So after the open day, Dan said to me and Nick, "I need some time on my own." I agreed with him. So don't need any help for the next couple of weeks. And I said, "Cool, fine by me. That's brilliant. It works out well for me because I can take a bit of time off myself and chill out." And Nick's got plenty to be doing as well. So if you see Dan on his channel struggling away on his own, it's because he wants to be there on his own and he doesn't need any help from us at the moment. Now, we all will be back soon enough to, I don't know whatever he dreams up. But when we're not there, it's not because we're abandoning him, it's because he wants a bit of time on his own.
Après beaucoup de force, c'est facile, oui, pour vous.
À force, oui. Tous les jours.
Combien pour jour?
10?
Oui.
More.
Plus.
It's happening, hopefully, next week. Well, he's coming next week. You might say, "Yeah, we can't install it today." But it's happening, kind of, hopefully. Fingers crossed. I just realised I forgot to tell you the plan. So here's the plan for the rest of the week. Step 1 is to take the Super Sank into a test centre and get a new control technique put on it, which is like a certificate of roadworthiness here in France. And once that's done, and hopefully it'll pass, I can square away the rest of the paperwork and start using this car a lot more. Because it's a funky dunky little car to drive around and I really love driving it, but I need to square away the paperwork. So that's step 1 of the plan. And step 2 of the plan is to turn the guest cottage around and get ready for new guests coming this Saturday. Now that's not going to take much to do because, as you can probably imagine, my mother left it spotless. So all I have to do is change some bed sheets, make sure the essentials are restocked, like, coffee, milk, all that sort of jazz, fresh bread, maybe a few croissants, who knows. And then my friends Katie and James and Ed are coming on Saturday, and I cannot wait to see them. I tried to get down to them earlier on in the week, but just between the jigs and the reels, it didn't work out for us. So they're coming on Saturday to stay for a few nights, I think, and I am really looking forward to that. The last time Ed was here was a couple of years ago, and he couldn't quite manage driving the tractor on his own because his legs were too short. But he's getting big now, so he'll be handed the keys of the tractor and given a job, and then probably handed a mountain bike and told, "There's a good bike route over there." I don't know, but I'm really looking forward to seeing him again. Now that's step 2. What's step 3? I can't remember what step 3 was. And step 3 of the plan is to prepare for this. The installation of the fibre broadband to my farm next Wednesday. Now, I'm going to say the chances of me coming away Wednesday evening with fibre broadband here is 50-50, because the government has made a promise that every house in France will have access to fibre broadband by a certain date. I can't remember what date it is. Could be next year. So it's a free installation, and all you pay for is whatever internet package you like. So my internet package is going up by the princely sum of €1, which is fine by me, because it means I'll have faster broadband and I'll be able to upload the vlogs quicker. That's pretty much the reason I'm doing it. But this is rural France. Things work a little bit differently around here. So, because I live in a farm, it's not exactly in the centre of a town. So what they're going to have to do is A, find my house, and then B, find the nearest, I don't know, fibre broadband access point and run a wire from there all the way to my house. And in theory that sounds simple, but in practice, let's just say I'm thinking there may be issues. So there's a good chance on Wednesday I won't have fibre broadband, but there's also a good chance I might. So we're just going to have to cross our fingers on that one. I also managed to stop off in Mercedes and get my spare wheel back off the rental car. And unfortunately for me, getting one of these back into a car, this car, is not easy. As I found out at the garage, when the technician who brought the wheel out to me said, "I'll stick that in the back of the car for you," and then proceeded to fail to place it where it's supposed to go. And then you know what he turned around and said? He said, "Oh, I don't think they're supposed to go in once they come out." I'm like, it can't be a single use spare wheel. There's a place for it there. Logic suggests it goes back in somehow. Here's the original first aid kit. 20 years old, that is. But, right, let's see if we can lodge this back in somehow. I seem to recall having it out once before, but I can't remember how I got it back in. I just took it out to have a look, really. Maybe that comes off. That's better. That makes more sense. I'm not supposed to go like that. If anyone knows how to get the spare wheel back into the boot of a Mercedes SLK, answers in the comments, please. How the hell does that go in? It's got to go in. Yes, it's deflated. Can't be just like, it can't never not go in again. God, heaven. This has got to fit in. It can't be just, oh, you've had a puncture. Well, that's all you're allowed to have. Maybe it's in the instruction book. Right. How do you get it out? In fact, it just shows you where it is. It doesn't tell you how to take it out. That's not much good. That's missing. It just says it's there. It just says take the plug out and lift it out. No clue how to put it back in. Absolute weapons. It's got to be like a YouTube video about this. Somebody, I can't be the only one who's ever had this issue. Right, YouTube is our friend here, I feel. How to put...
When you have an old SLK and it's about 20 years old, you need to make sure...
No one's had this issue before. It can't be that difficult. It'll deflate it. There's no air left in that wheel. There is a little bit of air left in that wheel. Right. Oh my god, that's hard. No need for that to be that awkward. Put it upside down. That way, that way. Goes like that. Goes in there. Goes in there. That's way more complicated than it needs to be. Now, there's a lot of rumbles coming out of the sky at the moment, and I think I'm going to get a massive dump of rain, which is a good thing because the grass around here really needs it. It's bone dry, and I'm just happier having the place a bit damper because it takes away the risk of a fire, which I don't want at all. So I'm going to end the vlog there and say thank you very much for watching. Why is there a spanner in my pocket? And I hope you enjoyed just a general day of what I got up to here in France. That's probably about as normal as it gets, if I'm honest. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. I do hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you soon.